Hey, what up?
Hey,
It's the Eldritch Scribe back again. Me and Rapper here, world building again. Hopefully to get a little bit more work done this week than last week, because last week things kind of got away from us. So no wine, no Wilk, no alcohol. We're just good to go. We've also got some new music going in the background, so let us know if you can hear it. It is DMCA free, so fingers crossed. No strikes. No strikes. No strikes.
Fingers crossed.
But let us know if it's too loud, too low.
Yeah.
It's a bop though.
Yeah,
we're talking about the Feywild, Raph. We're talking about the Feywild, the land of fairies, Vitrusion. And we got like a lot of content for this. Like a lot of content.
We do. And so where did you want to start, actually?
I don't even know. Val, you can suggest a town. We're not really talking towns today, but we're talking Feywild. But you can suggest a town name.
You can suggest a town name. And now we eagerly await.
Yeah, while we wait. So there's we haven't really had a formula this entire time when we've been going through the realms of like which area we go through. That would have been smart if we had made up a formula as we went through.
Look, it started out strong with a series, but we'll go region by region and we'll get like the regions and the regions done. Perfect, fine. And then the week after it just all went to hell. Trying to do the abyss was good.
Good. Sharon's having trouble getting into my phone.
Hey, Kate, how you going? How you going, gamer?
Yeah, so we did really well with a series. We went region by region. We had like cohesive thoughts that followed from A to B to C. And then somewhere around, what was the very next realm we did?
The next one was the Hell Knights. Hell Knight Knights,
we did very well
good. The Century Dragons was good. That had a formula. That had a very strong formula to it.
So everything broke down when we went to Zara Corvette.
Which is, well, you know what? That is on brand for Zara Corvette.
Yeah,
to be absolutely chaotic.
That's Alexian says, Rap, I'm not going to butcher a language in Spanish, but you can. La Muerte. I'm not.
La Muerte
Olvido? Says means death forgotten. Haven't had a natural death in 4,000 to 5,000 years. I don't think there's a city in my setting right now that's 4,000 to 5,000 years old. But that is a cool idea. That is a cool idea.
I like that.
So,
I like that. It's a cool idea. But yes, the Feywild.
Yeah. So there's a lot of places we could start. We have our Great Worm we can talk about. We have our Titan we can talk about. We can do key players like we did in other realms. Or I suppose the most unique thing about Vitrusion, our land of the Fey realm, is that the planet doesn't rotate. It's a stationary planet.
That's right.
It's one day, one night, which leads into talking about the Titan. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do that much smarter.
So Titans.
1 second. This might work.
Which actually lends into it quite well, because you have the, Summer Court and Winter Court, or whatever version of it in the world. It's very much like there's the day and there's the night. Always the same. Always fixed.
Exactly. So, Raph, I'm going to send you a link because we're going to do Google Docs this time rather than me trying to type stuff up.
Well, I did suggest that, and I completely forgot that I suggested that.
1 second, I'm just changing that to. It might be the same link. I think. Yeah, that's the same link. You should be able to edit now. Let me know if you can.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Excellent.
So, let me get this. We'll put this over.
Val, trying to think of very Fey-like things. Yeah. You know what? If you've got any Fey-like ideas, throw them our way this stream. That's right, the Gluttonous Wake. That was a really cool, great one. I think that was one of my favorite ones we came up with.
Okay. So... the flip planet does not rotate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make this the font a little bit bigger that we're typing just for chat. Do like font size 13. So why doesn't it rotate? This is an easy thing to start on because I've had this information in my brain for quite some time since it came up with. It's the Titan. The Titan is holding the planet in place. That's why I told you when we were talking Titans, you're like, what would that be about? I was like, if you steal that Titan, that planet all of a sudden spins.
Okay. Like, and that would completely change the entire dynamic of the Fey courts of the Fey realm.
It would be a genocide because planet not rotating, Raph, planet rotating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, bar like the utmost high magic ones. Also, the flow of time is why time doesn't flow in the Feywild because the planet doesn't rotate. This Titan basically was the primordial force of the Feywild, of what, like, before it got settled by anything. And as all the Fey courts came into being and were changing things, and all these fairies were coming into existence to shape the realm around it, the Titan was basically like, no change. Everything will stay as is, and just halted everything. So basically the entire planet is held in place, stuck from movement, by this great Titan made of like vines and roots that is just holding the entire planet in place. So if someone were like the Decaying Lord were to try and steal that Titan, that would kill the vast majority of the Fey realm. Yeah, that is like far more serious than the other Titans we've come across so far. So far. That is very serious. But as Kate says, the Mega Yeet.
The Mega, yes, it is the Mega Yeet. So in that case, like, I imagine that Vitrusion, do they have like ways of trying to protect the Titan? Do they have people set up to try and make sure no one tampers with this at all?
So here's the fun thing. Because no one can find it.
Oh. Right, okay.
Like, the Titan has pulled the planet between 2 seconds in time, a la Galfrey? I don't get that reference. Do you, Ref?
I think that's is that a
JoJo reference?
I think.
Is that a JoJo reference? Everything's a JoJo reference.
I think it may be Doctor Who reference. I don't actually know.
Lord, I'm not sure, but no, it's basically now the reason the time doesn't pass in the Feywild is all the magic that exudes off this Titan. Because Titans in this setting are very, very powerful beings. Doctor Who, that explains it. Cage, you're a nerd. I expect you to know that.
Cage, come on. We're rooting for you, buddy, but you're making it hard.
Like, how do you not know all the lore surrounding one owl familiar from a campaign that happened over 2 years ago?
I swear to God, Des. But yeah.
So yeah, that's also problem one is, like, they kind of, the Fey courts accept that. It's unwritten rule. If you find the Titan that is holding the planet from spinning, just leave it be. Just don't interact.
Yeah.
It's also kind of like an unspoken thing. It's like, none of us are going to go looking for this thing because it's like, it's, the Feywild is like, it's a house of cards in this setting. Like, everything is so delicate. It's like, that Titan is like the Vitrusion. If you touch that's like a low breeze that is going to annihilate the planet.
See, you know what would be really interesting, linking back to Quenthian Journey, is with Tarkin, who perhaps in like almost like born out again of just his absolute desire to bring ruin to everyone that banished him and everything like that.
It wasn't Tarkin that wanted to do that.
I thought Tarkin wanted revenge.
Oh no, Tarkin wanted revenge, but Tarkin wasn't the head honcho.
True, that was Rafaelaceres.
Who wants death and beauty.
Which would be quite interesting then as a plotline. As a continuation of the events of Quenthian Journey, to see them try to find the Titan and destroy Vitrusion that way. Go in there and at least causing great damage to the world.
The fun thing about the Titan in the the Feywild is, technically speaking, I think its size category is tiny.
Okay.
It's not with physical might that it holds the planet still.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is a Titan by class, not by size.
Yeah. Yeah, so it could just be like a small little fairy that's just...
Yeah, it could be an unassuming fairy. It could be a leader of a fake horde. It could be...
Yeah. Do you have like an idea in mind of what the Titan is, or?
I have an idea. Like it can be a gargantuan creature made of root and vine, like the forests of the Feywild, but a lot of the time it just looks like a pseudo dragon. Oh, it's just like that's its chosen form. It just kind of it doesn't like change, and the Feywild was ever changing, so it's like, let's stop that.
Yeah. No. Done.
Yeah, so it's like, oh. So it's like within the Feywild, like, yeah, the it would see the forests as changing, but the passage of time basically scared this innocent, chaotic force. And it's like, I just want this to stop.
It's kind of sad. And sweet in its own way.
Yeah, so it's literally just like, a lot of people's like, going around, just chilling, doing pseudo-dragon things. I like the concept that someone could accidentally have a Fey familiar that is the Feywild Titan, and it's just a pseudo dragon. Be like,
I was gonna suggest a Pact of the Chain Warlock Feylock with pseudo dragon as their familiar.
Yeah, and
it's just
like
they don't know, but it's actually just the Titan. But just.
Well, no, it's
new Titan Soul Sorcerer character when is.
I'll have to take it off the group again and just murder the intent. Murderous intent behind Titan Souls.
So, yeah, I mean, look, I would love to actually have a stream one day talking about the Titans. Because every time we bring them up, I want to talk about them more and go into more detail about them. Because they're just such an interesting concept.
Well, there's like some 31 odd Titans, so it would be a long stream.
Yeah. It'd be a long, so it needs to be its own... really its own stream, maybe its own 2 streams.
Perhaps, because it's kind of like you could probably go into detail on the Titan and their history, like the Regents of Hell, like very much. Going into who they are, what their realm would be.
But yeah, so that's the Titan. I mean, so in terms of the Vitrusion, in terms of the planet itself, obviously, as we said, like there's 2 very distinct halves of the planet. Like, what are they like? What is the Feywild like? Is it very much like a foresty type of planet that's very much like that type of image of the Feywild, or is it more of a mixed landscape? Like, what
so it's a mixed landscape, but it's remember, everything is a planet. So in our setting, everything is a planet. Although I would probably consider it like kind of like Dragor of Osiris. It is like a jungle planet where like there'd be very little water, and even like most of it would be like lakes that are covered by canopy. I think the majority of the Feywild would be covered in tree and like lush forest. There is some areas obviously of like the water, but it's definitely probably could have some other biomes, but it'd be very difficult to see. And it's kind of like, if you think of like the way desertification works and like real world stuff is, it's a process over time. So the world is stuck in a place of where it's just covered in forest before any like massive changes could be made to the topography.
Yeah, okay, I guess that's kind of cool. Which, like, I suppose on one level, the forest is almost as we know, is very connected to the to the woad on the prime material. So I imagine a lot of it's very similar. There's a lot of cross between how it operates there in terms of being more
I think
sentient.
I think the forest that covers the entirety of the Feywild is the woad. It is all the woad. It is literally just the one tree. And I think that's why it can flourish, is because the woad can operate outside of time regulations and such like that.
Yeah.
Because it's very fey in its own nature. So I think that's why it's so much spread. I don't think it was always covered entirely in forest, but I think the woad was like, yo, what up, ATD? No Wilk today, unfortunately, but we do got a bit of world building.
No wine.
No
also,
wine.
everything is planet. the planet is one of the eyes of the Titan. That's a cool idea, actually.
That was actually like the world for my last world I made. That inspired a lot of this world. That was so. I will not do it again twice in a row, but it is. I love that as a concept, and I have used it.
It is a very cool concept. Also, the two of you keep talking Doctor Who chat. You know what?
Yeah, keep talking.
I don't understand any of the references, but you guys do you.
You do you. And ATD, you'll be happy to know we're using a Google Docs so both me and Raf can type, and it saves by itself. So honestly, based. So yeah, the woad itself, seeing as it's like this magical force that fucks with time in its own sense, it is like a very capable thing to actually spread there. It's the only like natural thing that can. Don't know how to save. There's not a save button.
You know what it is? We're saving.
Well, if I control S, what will happen? Alright, I hit control S, nothing happened.
It'll implode,
I delete all of Google Docs. Everyone's Google Docs gets deleted.
But yeah, where were we at? We were talking about
the covering of the woad.
Yes, and about the flow between the woad and Vitrusion. Which obviously, did you want to talk about the whole heart tree and the woad connection, or leave that until a bit later?
Until we've
covered a bit more of the.
ATD says, "Is your Fey planet an eyeball world?" No, it is not. It is a world frozen in time, held in place by a Titan.
Yes.
Plan B in the Feywild refers to throwing a ball of bees. There's a 50-50 chance that the bees attack the thrower. The odds are often more favourable than the current threat. Why not? Why not?
You know what? If we visit it, I'll have to try it.
Throw out some bees.
Throwing a ball of bees. It was one of the main weapons in the Feywild Civil War. Never forget.
But overall, the approach that most creatures have in the Feywild is that of respect of the land around them. It's why a lot of the castles and such are built around it. And we talked, as a group, we've talked about the Court of Night a lot. The Court of Night and magic specifically, but the Courts of Night resemble a conglomerate of many, many courts. It's got the Frozen Court, it's got there's one Showdown has a bee bomb that I think feels like it has a 90-10 chance of going for you versus the enemy. Cade, how many times have you died to your own bees?
Cade, how often have you used the bee bomb in Showdown? I'm curious. This is purely. This is as a friend asking. I need to know.
Listen, yep.
Yep, fair enough.
So we can talk heart tree, we can talk courts. I'm curious, is there you've seen the Feywild a little bit and I'm sure you have questions.
I do have questions, Des, and some of them I'm not sure how much you want to go into.
Well, ask and I will either tell you an answer or tell you to go frick yourself.
Okay. So the Oleander Dragon, the third of the Void Dragon, is located on the Feywild, obviously. Whereabouts and what is their relationship to the courts, and what is it very passive remnant, or is it actually patrol its area? What is it like there on the planet, and what's its relationship?
Okay. I can talk about this a little bit because I don't think it comes up too much. So the way that the Oleander Dragon is within the Feywild. So first things first, it is guarded loyally by a group of about 25 star elves.
Okay. Yeah.
Geographically speaking, where Lake Hetspire is on the mortal realm is the equivalent area to where the Oleander Dragon is on the Fey realm.
Okay.
That's why why that part of the woad that should all be connected. That's why the woad goes around it rather than over like Headspire, forming a canopy over it. Is because the Oleander dragon is there.
Right. Okay.
And that's also unbeknownst but subconscious reason why the Eye of Ruin has settled in the middle of Lake Headspire is because he feels the warm presence of his mother that is comforting without knowing.
Which is, I was gonna say, like, cause yeah, of course. With the Oleander dragon, is it conscious or is it more of like a slumbering presence?
The Oleander dragon is slumbering. It is not awake.
Okay.
It is.
I was going to say because that would lead to a lot of.
Oh, if it was awake, we would be having another War of the Gods.
Well, yeah, because also is it separate to the Matron of the Woods? Like, is it a separate?
No, that is the deity, the divine non-mortal form of the Matron is the Oleander dragon.
Right. Yeah. So, if it did awaken in some capacity, then hypothetically you could have. The Matron of the Woods extend a manner of influence to other realms, even though...
You could have her pass on.
Yeah, exactly. And bypass what most of the other old gods are currently locked in.
Well, that's the thing. She is still locked in herself. She's locked in that eternal slumber.
Yeah. Which, was that done in terms of the slumber of the Oleander Dragon? Was that done... prior to the War of the Gods, when the Void Dragon was split up, or was that done afterwards?
When the Somber Rest put down all the physical forms of the deities, they sealed them in planes native to them. They put them away in areas where they would be safe, and hopefully people would not awake them.
Okay.
Now, mind you can wake up the body, but the soul still would need to be reunited, because we talked about this a little bit in previous campaigns, where the Dawn Watcher across space and time was searching for his divine form, but never found it.
That's true, yeah.
His soul was trying to find it, and, well, if he found it, it would be a slumbering form, but it would be, you know. But if the Matron woke up, they have made friends with the different stream.
Look, if the Matron woke up, that would be a very different world.
If the Matron woke up, she would be making her way to the prime material plane to see her sons, and then to very quickly prepare to fight her brother.
Yeah. Which would be like the scale slightly.
Yeah, it would for sure. But we can talk. I know we're not talking about Zarthel today, but it's why the slumbering bodies, the souls that left the slumbering bodies, aren't in the land of sleepless dreams, because the great old ones are powerful enough to still dictate travel through the realms where they wish to go. So they recognize the aspect of the fact that I am in the land of sleepless dreams. I need to get out of here.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, well, go and find another location. And a lot of them have like demi-planes, where we've seen Kinasi's hut, who is the Matron of the Woods. But it's not part of her priority to find her body right now, because she recognized the damage that the War of the Gods had on her creations, the creation of humanity. And she doesn't want to bring that back about. Which is, we can talk a little bit about the what up, Kyle? How you doing?
Hey, Kyle. There you go. As Val asked, though, have they made friends with their sleep paralysis demon?
Absolutely. And Ender Dragon? I thought this was D&D, not Minecraft. No, not Ender Dragon. Oleander.
No, this is actually Boar Ragnarok.
This is Boar Ragnarok, you're not wrong. But no, so the trial of the Oleander Dragon is something that we are going to have to... Well, I don't know. I'm curious for you guys. Is it part of your plan to help Everett in the trial of the Oleander Dragon?
Out of character, I would love to. But in character, it's something I'm not even in terms of, like, are we close enough that we can offer assistance? Are we trusted enough? I was going to say, like, are we trusted enough? Or are they like, we still don't trust you. You did kill the previous king. We don't want you near him while he's undertaking this current trial.
Okay. I will tell you this. I have a date written down in the front of my notebook of when he undertakes the trial of the Oleander Dragon. And there is vastly different survival rates for if you guys manage to persuade him to help or without help. Because you know from the past that he is afraid to do the trial of the Oleander Dragon because it's very, very dangerous. Hello, Kyle, again.
Hello.
Hello.
Everett is cringe.
Everett is cringe. Hear me out. In the
Slander.
Feywild, souls are trapped and crafted into instruments. They use this to play what they call soul music. Oh my god, that's such a pun. That's such a fucking pun. I can't believe I read that far into that message.
Oh, fuck.
But no, I don't want to go too much into what the trial of the Oleander Dragon is, because that could literally be something we explore this campaign.
Yeah.
But it would
And
be
the
very
Oleander
interesting
Dragon as well.
because he would have to make his way to the Oleander Dragon in the Fey Realm, guarded by 25 Star Elves.
Des. Okay, I have to help him with this. I have to help him with this. My fucking god. Like, can you imagine that meeting? Oh. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna redirect our entire course in the Monday games now to focus all of our efforts in taking part of the.
Here's the mega mind. You find the Oleander Dragon. You get convinced the 25 Star Elves to let you pass. You see and familiarize yourself with the Oleander Dragon, and then you cast a dream on it so you can speak to Kanasi.
I need to put on the Raph mode.
Now, mind you, you would get there and you wouldn't know the Oleander Dragon is the matron. You know, that's
No, unless we were told.
If the Star Elves even know, they protect the form.
Yeah, if they even know. Which, look, even just meeting the Star Elves would be a fantastic meeting. And also makes it funny that the Nahajad calling themselves the last Star Elf. It's not actually the last Star Elf, buddy. Nothing but a great liar. That's why you don't trust
his knowledge, he's
elves.
the last Star Elf.
Yeah.
But those Star Elves in the Feywild, to them, barely no time has passed because it is the Fey realm.
Raph, buddy, the story follows the party, not the character. Look, Cade, I want to make sure that our story becomes Everett's story, alright?
Among Us. I'm not finishing reading that, but
just read the last bit, Des. You'll understand it.
I read the first bit, Among, and then I saw at the end, and I was like, I see where this is going. I'm not getting debated into that. But no, so that's the Oleander Dragon of what's there. But yeah, as Kate says, instead of helping him fight a dragon, why about we fight among ourselves?
You know what? Fair play. But yeah, so that's the Oleander Dragon. That's one of the main things I wanted to go into a little bit. It's a very powerful presence on the planet and a very important part of it.
Probably it is protected, and I'd say the location of I would say two things: the location of the Oleander Dragon and the location of the Vitrusion Titan are known by the Malachite Great One.
Okay, yeah. However, as we discussed with the Malachite Great One, it avoids all of the area around the Oleander Dragon. It's the one place.
Oh yeah, it literally we're gonna take a detour. We're gonna go around that because
yeah, like I am not the biggest dragon here.
No, it's like I gotta guard this thing, but it's like I think probably the sole reason the Malachite Great Worm would actually do their job is if someone tried to fuck with the Oleander Dragon or fuck with the Titan. He'd be like, no, we're partying, just chill.
The boss is gonna have my head of this fuck. Yeah. That's just kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah, I'd say because it has forgotten its original purpose, but it has never forgotten. We don't fuck with the Oleander Dragon, and we don't fuck with the Titan,
because that would just wreck and ruin the entire world. So let's not.
Could you imagine if someone accidentally killed the Titan, and then the Oleander Dragon just gets fucking slingshotted off the planet?
Yeah, and then it would just would that actually kill it, or would just wake up and be like, what the fuck happened?
Well, they can't be woken up. I think that would probably wake the Oleander Dragon up. I don't know if she would be quick enough to save the Fey realm from that.
Okay, but Mega Mind Brain here, Des. I kill the Titan in order to wake the Oleander Dragon up and restart the War of the Gods. Mega Mind Brain here.
Yeah, Kyle, you can make an enemy suggestion. So what other questions do you have about the Feywild?
Well, that was a good place to start with. I'm also just genuinely curious about the day side, because we've never really gone into that. Whereas we've seen like some of the night side of the Queen of Light and Magic, and so we've seen some of the night courts. But Raph, at some point you gotta stop starting God Wars. Never, Cade. I will always continually start with God Wars. It is my sole purpose in Des games.
The elven werewolves and rats. Okay. Pitch it to me, Kyle. Why are those an enemy?
And Cade, I want you to pitch to me why I should stop starting God Wars. Because until you do that, I will not stop. All I see is that just gives us interesting campaign ideas to go into. So.
It just do be. Because that would be funny to see. So just elven werewolves and were-rats.
You know what?
Alright. Fair enough.
The concept of a were-rat is just... It's an interesting one.
What about a were-rat folk?
It just turns into like a slightly more rabid version of itself.
Like the were-bear folk that AJ played.
Yeah.
Well, why do we have these things? Just to suffer.
Because they're geniuses. Were-rat. You know what? I'm surprised Cade has never played a were-rat. I think it's very much up his alley.
Next character for Cade, Order the Like and were-rat.
But yeah, so in terms of the day courts.
Okay. So the day and night courts are reflections of each other. So you would have like almost Raph, you're sent a reason why, apparently.
Yes. Cade did send me a reason why. And it is 10
send me the
of...
reason why.
That's true. You have to play a bard. Which, for those of you who don't know, the subclass for that went up free and is now currently on our Patreon. No longer free, though. But for those of you who want to check it out.
It was free for like a month and a half. It is on the Patreon. In the bad section. Go down there and click the buttons.
Look.
But yeah, daytime courts. So
yes, daytime courts.
We did actually have a brief mention where we talked about the Queen of Witches when we still had Lark with us when we were playing before we started. So,
who?
Who? No, that is a real character, the Queen of Witches. That their patron was like probably one of the strongest over there. But the daytime courts are a little bit more cohesive, a little bit more. Okay. That's good reasoning, Kate. That's good reasoning. But yeah, so speaking of the day courts, they're far more like less scheming. They're more jovial courts. They're more like wanting to
festivals and parties and like stuff like that.
Yeah, no, the night courts are still like that, but they're much more of like your typical scheming that you're going to find in the Feywild.
Yeah. I'm curious, like how, because I know that in some iterations of the Feywild, like the night courts can be quite dark and quite evil in their intentions.
Oh yes,
and quite twisted.
Yes.
So like how far into that does it go? Like are they very like something quite fucked up?
The King of Midnight literally banished an entire realm of people off the Feywild and cursed them that if they ever saw the light of day or night, their skin would burn off.
That's true. And that is the same king that
yeah, that's part of the Feywild Civil War in the Night Court. Yeah. Like, they're still jovial, but they're fucked up, like, no doubt about it. Like,
well, now that we have, like, I guess, some distance and quite a non-biased viewpoint going through these lore things. What's the Queen of Night and Magic actually like? Not through the eyes of like Aura or how she presented to us, but like in terms of her character. Like, is she similar to that, or is she a bit more in between?
That's a very, very good question. So the Queen of Night and Magic, I'll have to pull up my notes for this because...
Yeah. Because a lot of what we got from her was very much how she obviously constructed her appearance towards us and through the view of Aura, who idolized her in a lot of ways.
Yeah, she is probably the lesser of two evils.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way I could put it, she is the Fey Lady, Queen of Night and Magic. She is ambitious to a fault for taking the throne. She did rule side by side with her husband for a while. She's probably the most capable sorcerer, like magic user in the nighttime side of the realm. She's literally the Queen of Magic there. But she's also quite like most of her magic comes from shadow sorcery. Like she is like she's of celestial lineage. She was part angel once. So
really, of what deity?
Of Rabosa, just angel of the realms.
Oh, just an angel. Unaligned
angel. Well, no. So now she is in the shadow realm of the Fae, and honestly, a lot of her stuff, like she holds a lot of command over shadow. They are like, for example, any darkness within 6 miles of her lair, she can see with it. She can sense. Any magic that within 6 miles of the area that's cast, she can sense. Any shadows within her 6 miles of her lair become living shadows and work for her. She is very dark and like scheming. She would kill everyone in her court to make sure she is the one sitting on the throne of Night and Magic.
But she would do so in like very but she would do so in very scheming and like tricksy ways, as opposed to say the king, who would be outright like, no, I'm gonna let people know that I fucking kill these people in order to be the king.
Oh yeah, like it's no doubt like when her and the Midnight King. Divorced is the wrong word because technically they're still married.
Separated?
They're separated. But when he found himself in the throes of passion with another lover. Actually, no, incorrect. It was when she found herself in the throes of passion with another lover. It was her who cheated. But even though she was the unfaithful one, she is the one that banished him.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Karen took the kids, but took the court.
Yeah.
Like, she's cruel. She's callous. Anything like, her and the King of Magic, the King of Midnight, were lovers for many, many years, and it came a time when it was like there was someone else that needed to be like from the Winter Palace to be swayed to her cause, and they had base desire. So she holds. She is. I would almost say she is incapable of love. She is 100% a narcissistic sociopath. Like she is like like she pretends to have emotion and she pretends to manipulate people, but like she would make someone trust her. Like for example, Aura, beautiful as was. Aura could have come along and like love so much, and everyone could have died, and Aura would be there crying at her feet, and she goes, "Oh, I think you misunderstood. You mean nothing to me. You're just a piece, and now you've extended your worth."
Yeah. That's very different to obviously how we saw her in Gwendolyn Journey.
Oh yeah, but you're dealing with that part of the narcissist that wants you to like them at that stage. They're like, I need these people to like
part. Yeah, like she was so manipulative, which she saw towards Aura, and which like Aura was so heavily invested in, and it would have broken her, which makes it even worse.
I'd have done it in a heartbeat. If the situation came up, I would have done it in a fucking heartbeat. Like if there was any hesitation for you guys swapping to the king, like it all over for Aura. Shit would have gone. Shit hit the fan.
Mm-hmm. Which, fuck, that would have been a really interesting character moment. But I'm glad we didn't go there. But that would have been a very interesting character moment.
Yeah, there were moments where you were trying to like, oh hey, what up, Dario? We're actually talking about the Queen of Night and Magic from Quentin Journey. What a good time to stop by. How are you doing today? Oh hi, Mark.
Oh hi, Mark.
But yeah, the Queen of Night and Magic is like, we did, like, that's what we're talking about. We did, but we're talking about from a non-biased point of view now, Dario. We're talking about what the Queen of Night and Magic really is, from like the Night Ruler of the Queen of the Court of Midnight, for the Court of Night and Magic.
She's evil.
She's a narcissist. She is like unloving, incapable of loving, and with a furball. No, you can't. You can't.
If evil was sexy, look, evil is sexy.
You guys are going up against Samael. You weren't part of that one shot, that two shot, but we saw Samael. Samael's very sexy.
Samael's very sexy. Evil can be very sexy.
Look, but no, the Queen of Night Magic. She's like, the second you're not worth it for her anymore, the second you are even the slightest bit more costly than you are profitable, you will be discarded.
Yeah.
And it's like that entire thing of like, I was obviously constantly waiting for Aura to write messages in her book to see what nudges this narcissist was going to give her to push her and mold her in the way that she wanted an advisor to be. And even it came down to like this thing of like, everything is like, for the Queen of Night Magic, is a transaction. Everything is transactionary. Even when Eleanor is like, bring Aura back, and it's like, I get a servant back who is unwaveringly loyal, and this proves a boon of my power. And I'm indebted to by a powerful bard. Yeah. This bard owes me a great debt. Well, we'll do it. Like,
pretty good deal. Yeah, it's a good deal for me at the end of the day. Me playing Giga Pot of Greed. Pot of Greed's banned.
Pot of Greed is banned. Sorry, unfortunately.
It is on the ban list.
But no, like that is exactly. But that being said, the Midnight King is currently being massively affected by Repellicerix.
Yes, as we know.
Absolutely. Without the Repellicerix's influence, the Midnight King is the better of the two, the less evil of the two. But with the influence of the demon, like he is. Everything he has done for the past while, like banishing people from the realm and cursing their entire existence to never see any form of light, is, is part of the demon's power. It's like, if you actually remove his, I think it's his left glove, he has the hand of Repellicerix.
Oh fuck! Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you somehow manage to restore, the Midnight King to how he was beforehand, he would be the objectively better ruler. See, that would have been a really interesting twist to potentially go into down the line.
It would have been if we ever did. And what up, Cookie? How you doing? Hey, Derry, we've got some new. I'm using. There's a streamer called Jericho. He started a record label called Night Mode, and this is their DMCA free playlist. And I'm really just hoping they're telling the truth that it is a DMCA free playlist. Because if not, this whole VOD is fucked. But yeah, there is tunes going for a lot now. We got some nice tunes.
These people are vampires with more weaknesses. I mean, interesting you should mention that, because there is a very strong connection between vampires and
vampires starting the Feywild, which I think is a part. Between the time we get to, we can talk about Valenza.
That was going to be a future. I had that story in the back of my mind. I was going to say, like, so what about Valenza?
Well, Valenza was part of the Day Courts.
That's right. Look, the whole. I've got it saved somewhere. About the whole story. Which we can dig up if we have time to talk about it. To Mousea,
we can talk about the origins of vampirism, because that I will be really surprised if we manage to make it through all of the Kingslayers without talking about Valenza.
Yeah, because it's also very interesting to go into it, considering over this side of the world, a lot of people associate vampirism with Samael.
So you want to know the wild thing? Because I don't... Oh, so I will message you this, and you can tell me if this is too much of a spoiler to talk about. So...
Yeah.
That's how he turns. That's the secret he found.
So that's the secret of vampirism.
That's how he has it.
Right.
That's how he is so strong as well.
I don't know, because that will probably come into the campaign. I feel like it will, like it's a big part of it. But I think it's really interesting because a lot of people who, in the Kingslayers and in this side of the world going through would think that Samael is like the progenitor of vampirism.
No, they are not.
Lie.
He is.
It is a lie.
How cool to be in on this info. Yes, I agree. So interesting. Yeah, Daria, maybe you'd be on this info if you read more of the World Anvil.
You're such a troll. Fucking hell.
I guarantee you this information is in the World Anvil somewhere. 100%. Yeah, that's also too much. You're right. Might be.
Come on, Des. Lower it a bit, okay?
No, but I imagine that will come into place because... Oh god, it would be... It's a cool talking point, but we won't do it. But we will talk about Valencia.
It is very... You know what? I mean, we can down the line. I think it's something to talk about.
All right.
Once, like, if we have enough time. I think talking about the courts is something to discuss a bit more before we hop to that. Oh,
so we can talk about the Undala court then, at least a little bit.
What's that, sorry?
The Undala court. We'll put that in there as a bullet point.
What is the Undala court?
That's Valence's court. That's her name.
So I'm just trying to fix my camera because it keeps slipping.
I thought you were just giving chat a hug.
Yeah, I was coming in for a nice one. Just the scuff picture of me trying to fix my camera.
You're DMing your first section tomorrow. Are you ready?
Yeah, how are you feeling about that? That's quite a big thing. But yeah, so talk about Valence's court. Over to you, Des.
Valence's court. Okay, so Valencia Undala was a very, very old Fey creature. I am going to pull out an old notebook though for this to make sure I don't give conflicting information.
There we go. I blinded myself in the process of moving my camera.
That is very gamer of you.
That is very gamer.
So yeah. That's... God, it is a trip going back over these notes. So... you're scared, you should be scared. DMing is very, very scary, but it's very, very fun.
Have you played with the group before, or is it a brand new group?
So, let's talk about Valencia a little bit. So, Valencia is an archfey of the Undala court. She is now revered as the sovereign of vampire kind. A few vampires worship them as a god, but some curse the existence as the curse that befits them. Those who worship Valencia hope that the realm home will serve as an afterlife to rejoin the court. That is, they're like where vampires go after they die. They hope they go there. Valencia, though, was not always a vampire, and they were cursed by an archfey from the court of the Kyretta court in the Shadowfey, a man named Malcia. It was long in the age of the War of the Gods. Malcia basically came in and was completely obsessed with Valencia. This entire thing of I want you for my own, and Valencia was basically there just like, I don't rock that way. So in an effort to bind Valencia's freedom, they bound them with a bloodlust and made them abide by the rules of vampirism. Yeah, that is exactly it. But magic helps with that. Edwin, very, very much so. Planet does not rotate, tend to be very hot on one side and frozen on the other. Yeah, that's why we have the winter courts as well. There is the frozen courts of the Shadowfey. But Feywild also has fucking magic that helps keep things more regulated.
Yeah, there's also a lot of...
It's also quite far away from the sun, so one side is hot, but not burnt alive, unless all the magic goes, in which case they would be.
Yeah.
But yeah. basically, to put it down, Valence's Children of Night became the first ever vampires. That of her family was very much so. Sorry, their family was very much so scorned. It spawned I think it's the 7 great vampire houses.
Yeah, I think it was 7.
Yeah, so we have Sites, Valil, Lennox, Haster, Imvin, Zirius, and Tavis. I think we've seen.
Me and my homies hate Tavis.
I think we've seen like 4 houses though. I think in game we've seen Sites, we've seen Valil, we've seen Imvin. No, we've seen. What was on in Raiders of Yalta?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So just to think back on it, there was the Sites, obviously Sites. There was the Tabbits, but they were evil motherfuckers. What was
fuck Krieger.
Fuck Krieger.
Astus was the Valil, but he abandoned the Valil house.
Yes, and he started his own, essentially.
Yes, he tried to.
And what was the one in the
Zoran?
name is slipping. In Zoran, what was the name of the
that was a Valil. That was the last of the Valil. That was Lorelei Valil.
That was the last of the Valil. Right. That was the last of the Valils, and the one who offered the chance to be part of the family to one of the party members to continue.
There is basically the 5 loyal houses that still remain loyal to Valenza, which is Sites, Valil, Lennox, Haster, and Zirius, and then Imvin and Tavis worship Malcio as they see this power as like a great gift that is like, like Valenza wants us all to be like, just bound by these things, but we should just fully indulge our evil side. Which they abdicated to the Shadowfey. But yeah, all vampires in our realm come from the Feywild.
Yeah, there's a very strong connection. What's the do they still have a strong connection to the Feywild, or is it mostly separated for a lot of them?
It depends on the generation of vampire, but most post Gen 5, Gen 6 won't have a strong connection to Feywild. A lot of them will feel the call of Feywild as like a call of home, like almost like a homesickness without it.
Yeah. Which even if the Sites, they had a miniature woad.
Yeah, they did. Sites, Helio Sites.
My boy.
That man, I miss him. I miss him. Heliotrope dice, my bloodstone, bought for Helio Sites.
He was. I would love to see him reappear in a cameo role. I would love to see him.
He could. He's like 800 years old.
As we know, though, Des, travel through the Feywild, travel through the Woads. It's possible, and time flows weird. So Helios could appear.
It's true. Helios technically could. But yeah, so
basically
the long story is Malcio loved Valenza to a fault, but it was completely unrequited. Valenza was like, let's have a little bit of fun, and Malcio basically became a scorned lover who was like, if I can't have you, I will take away what made you you.
Right, the Solelio treatment. Yep.
The Solelio treatment. It's a story I like to explore a lot in the aspects of that sort of approach to things. But Malcio still exists, and there's artifacts of Malcio scattered throughout the Shadowfey. I would say...
Yeah.
God, I'll have to double check Malcio's court's name again, but I believe the Coretta Court. That would probably be as loyal an ally you can have for the Queen of Night and Magic, which would have been really interesting because you guys would have seen her allies, and Malcio would be like, "Yes, my queen."
See, we would have seen her allies and been like, "Hey, are we the baddies?"
Yeah, you are the insta baddies.
Yeah. I'm like, fuck. Okay. Maybe we chose the wrong sides here.
You chose the wrong sides.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting.
So he cursed her with all the typical things you would have of a vampire, and she became the first ever vampire. And the 7 vampire houses were the 7 people they turned when they first got inflicted with the curse, and some did not live, obviously, in the Indela court, but the vampire Sites was their first name, and these became family names afterwards. and anyone brought in under it kind of goes very like inspired by Vampire the Masquerade, the way generations of vampires work, where each generation's a little bit weaker than the last, because the further it gets away from Valenza, the further, like, the more diluted the curse is. Whereas, like, we even at the stage, I think, for example, maybe I'm completely wrong. I think Lorelei was generation 7 even, and her children were like not even full generation 8. They will be, but like they were about generation 8. I think that's what it was. I'd really have to dig through my notes for that. Whereas Helios was like generation 3. He knew the original sites, or he was generation 4 or 3. He was quite high up there.
Yeah.
Like, who are the children, Cade? They're pretty cringe.
Nah, they're pretty cringe. We don't really need to talk about them.
Yeah, never mind. Go next.
Moving on to this very swiftly. But yeah, so in terms of what was Valenza's court like? In terms of
what was it like, or what is it like?
You know what? Let's talk about what is it like.
Oh, Valenza currently does not rule the court themselves. It is currently upheld by Scythe, still as the leader of the Undala court. The second generation. It is a safe haven for vampires who want to learn to control themselves. It is probably like the least chaotic of the daytime courts.
Right. And that's where, of course, Helios got all of his things from about, trying to be very controlled.
Yeah, he learned that from Scythes Undala.
Mm-hmm.
And he became Helios Scythes.
They became Helios Scythes. That's cool.
Hey, thank you, Cade. Thank you.
Oh, good, Cade. Get some good sleeping, buddy. Nice to have you here.
Always good to see you there. Well, yeah, that is like so the Undala court is where vampires. That would probably be like one of the most important courts, like for a player perspective. Like, there's more courts than you can count. Like, to give people like free reign if they want to make up their own for the sake of like creating like Archfey and stuff. Like, it's something you can definitely work with. Like, you have your iconic ones like Scythes Tavis. Because remember, all of these vampires are Archfey as well. At the end of the day, like all of these are like part elven. They're Archfey.
Especially like the second generation. Can I be?
What type of Lycan do you want to be? So, is there any other major questions you have for like the overall structure of the Feywild?
Yeah, like, is there a sense of seniority with with both sides of the Feywild in terms of like the rulers of each, or is it far more like not even the rulers, but the ones who are considered to be the most senior and above the others, or is it much more of a constant infighting and squabbling and less coherent?
Infighting, because time doesn't pass. Sense of seniority is difficult to do when time does not pass. They strictly chalk it down to: are you powerful? What sort of powers can you control? And if you can control a lot, you'll have a lot of people under you. But if you don't, or if you're like the Midnight King and you start losing your powers for whatever reason, which, lo and behold, it's heartbreak. You'll be thrown out. You'll be like discarded, especially in the Night Realm. It's so much harsher. Because that was what happened between the Queen of Night Magic and the Midnight King, is when she cheated on him, he was quite literally heartbroken, and his powers, he literally was starting to lose his powers. That's why he kind of went mad a little bit afterwards when he got banished, and he tried to make a pact with the demon to get powers back. That's why he is the Hand of Repellus Erix. And Kyle, you want to be a werewolf? Hey, roll a d20. If you get above a 10, you can have it. Exclamation point, d20.
And if you get below that, you're a were-rat. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We don't make the rules, we just enforce them.
Yep. That's the way it's always been, and that's the way it'll always be. But yeah, so on the day side, what's probably the foremost court? Like, is there like a typical one on the day side that's probably the most present and around the place, or
most present?
I guess you could say an equivalent. Well, actually, we discussed it. Like, in
the
terms
Queen
of
of Witches. The Queen of Witches would be.
The Queen of Witches. I was going to say, in terms of like almost like an opposite to the Queen of Night and Magic. But yeah, the Queen of Witches.
Yeah, that would probably be as like
to give
opposite
like a good example,
1 for 1 you could do.
Yeah. An 18. Hey, look, you're a werewolf now.
Congratulations. I'm afraid to tell you tonight is your first night and you must go kill everyone you love. But no, she is known as the Pact Patron. She literally is like of all Archfey, she is the foremost patron who seeks out people to make pacts. In fact, she is known as the Mother of Covens because she, like, most hags gain their power from the Queen of Witches. Most hags that draw power from the Feywild draw it from her. 100%.
Why? Why is
she is the Queen of Witches. She holds dominion over witches. That is her strength. She is the Moon Weaver in the Mountain of Ogres. She is the Lady of Copper and Crystal, the Queen of Witches.
Mm-hmm.
She is a large, imposing. She is like size of a fire giant. She finds herself in a rocky mountain, kind of like all covered by tree, and she is very, very strong. Like, she is like extremely, extremely strong when any like form of like sunlight is near her. She takes almost the opposite, whereas like if she is under the light of the sun, which is anytime in her domain, she, like, anyone within her domain, if they speak her name, like her actual name, which I don't just give out, you could name her whatever you want, but I won't give out my name because that's power. Within 10 miles of her lair, she will be able to see them as if she's scrying them, and she can choose to then just appear and hear their request. So if you're in the Fey realm and you find yourself in a mountainous tree area, if you can, and you know the Queen of Witches' names, and even the Queen of Witches might invoke her, and you can, she can hear you, like, she will know you're there. And regardless of the weather, the sun will always be visible. The clouds will go around it. Like,
that's fucking cool.
The sun is always visible for the Queen of Witches.
Yeah. So in terms of making a character connected to her, like, it wouldn't just be through warlocks and stuff like that. There would be like a lot of, much more of an open, anyone, I guess, that has magical potential, magical powers could potentially make a pact with her or make a deal with her. Yeah,
she is the Pact Patron. She is there for that sort of stuff. Like, she is taller than any man. She is big and strong, and she is going to definitely put down her rule. She has probably like a loose courtly structure because there's not much like trying to fight back against her, but she has a lot of hags in her service. That is probably like the most chaotic thing about her, is all the hags that would worship her, because they, like, these covens of 3 that would worship her would be gaining their powers from. Can I be the Queen of Witches' personal hand? If roll a D, Kyle, what do you reckon your charisma modifier is?
I would really like to make a character connected. You know, because I've never really made a character connected to the Fae before.
No, which surprises me.
That's something I would actually.
I think it's because it's a patron that's difficult for you, because you don't know what you're getting into. Yeah, I guess, and I don't know. Like, it's never quite stuck out to me, I guess. I think a paladin Oath of the Ancients too. That would be very cool. The Queen of Witches. With a charisma of 8, I'm not going to get you in a roll, Kyle. She, you know, congratulations. She'll step on you, but you're not going to be her personal hand. That's enough for some people. That's enough for some people. Let's hope it's enough for you. Right. Okay. Honestly, that actually sounds like a really fucking cool idea. And now my brain's. Or imagine paying the bow singer, but you gain your magic from, like, you've this like Elderwood bow from the Queen of Witches. Well, yeah. I mean, you can be a wizard, but like, you were helped along in your practice of magic by the Queen of Witches. Or literally, like, the reason you're able to do it is because, like the years it takes to study, you're still only 20 years old because she gave you the time you needed. Oh, that's cool. Also, are you sure you want to be a hound? She likes pugs. I'm just imagining a werepug now, and it's the least threatening thing I can think of. Sorry, Kyle. You didn't get a nat 20. You're a werepug because Ralph said it. This is my revenge for the Wilk.
Werepug. But yeah, that'd be a really interesting concept, actually, and very different to what we've seen so far with Fey characters. There's only been one, but it was a very big example of one. So hey, next campaign, put it down with a long list of potential character ideas.
Look, a long list.
Very long list. But yeah, so I was going to say something actually. So yeah, actually, in terms of the whole vampire and stuff like that, are they found amongst other courts in the Feywild as well?
No,
if
you were made like vampire by like, first of all, if you're the way the Undala court works with vampires and like the sites, the Valils, like that's, you're not just going to get turned. Like one of the noble houses is not going to turn you because that's against the rules. But the Shadow Realm, the Shadow Fae side of it, if you're part of Malcia's house, yeah, you could, like, they will get sent there. Like, if someone finds a vampire in their court, they will be sent to one of the two vampire courts, the Undalas or the... also, I'll confirm... One second. Yeah, Helios is second generation. I confirmed that. He is the first of the sites to be turned after this first sites. Damn. But for... Where am I going? The name. Yeah, if you're in the Coretta court or in Dela court, basically, vampire that finds themselves in the Feywild, you're going to be sent to one of the two courts first. Hopefully it's the Undala, and they will trace your lineage. They will find where you come from. And if you're not from the noble houses in the Undala court, you might just be killed on spot. Like, you're one of the evil ones, unless you come literally like, hey, I am part of the Coretta court, like, I was turned by a Tavis, can you help me? Like, that might be a different thing, because we know, like, it's not just the name of, and like the family lineage, like, all sites were always from sites. They do adopt in and out, like, the whole thing of, like, Aaron and Kristoff being adopted into the site's family, because it's like, we want to take care of each other, and it's like more the philosophies of each family of what they try and dedicate their immortality to. Which, Daria, I hope you're paying attention, because isn't one of your next characters pretty keen on this idea of vampirism? You're definitely listening and not just listening to the music.
Oh.
Who am I joking? Daria is probably not listening to us at all.
No, Daria's too busy reading the world out for this.
Too busy reading the world out. But no, if you're part of the Coretta court, that's a bad news for you, because like most people are going to be turned into foot soldiers. Like, you saw what Kryger was like. Kryger Tavis was a member of the Tavis family of the Coretta court that we encountered in our game, and literally tortured Raph's character just because of the vampire family he was from. It's a dangerous life to be part of.
Yeah, look, it is a very, very grisly and dark world being part of one of the vampire families. Yeah. Did you want to talk more about the courts, or was there something else you wanted to go on to?
I'm curious if like, I think the format of you asking questions is very good, because it's very like I have no idea what that link is, Edwin. What are you putting in the chat? I will look into it. Click on it. How dangerous is it?
It's not dangerous whatsoever, but it's a good image to have, considering what was said.
Okay.
Yeah. That is confirmed. Kyle's. Yeah.
Confirmed, Kyle.
Yeah. But yes, I'm curious. The other court that you've mentioned, that we've heard mentioned, is the Winter.
Yeah, the Court of Winter. Probably one of the allies, but also the strongest court of... Can you be an enemy of the party? Enemy of the party. A Pug Knight? I'll think about it. Yeah, the Winter Court is one that I don't think we ever actually dealt with the Fey Lady herself. the Queen of Snow, the Lady of Winter. She is very much so like, you know, very she would like to fancy herself to be that of strength comparable to the Queen of Magic, but she's not. She's a little bit weaker for sure, so she definitely shows fealty to the Night Courts, to the Queen of Night Magic that rules over all of them. One thing we do see though is the Snow Maiden that you guys fought.
Oh, that's very, right. Actually, we did fight someone from the Winter Court. Yeah.
What? When did we fight that? What was that in? Was that in the Raiders of Yasgren?
No, that was Quenthian. They tried to murder us outside the Void Town.
Outside.
I can't remember the name of it.
Yundav. Outside Yundav. Also,
outside Yundav.
Kyle, if you roll above a 10, I'll let you do the book command.
You'll be permitted.
But that was actually sent by the Queen of Night Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was... You guys had made contact with the Midnight King at that stage, and she could sense his presence around you, so she was like, if they're not strong enough to defeat this, they're not strong enough at all. So...
Okay.
Okay. Which I'm pretty sure... Didn't the Snow Maiden literally tell you guys that the Midnight King sent her? She wasn't in control or whatever. So. I'd have to double.
She said about I can't exactly remember.
But the exact, I believe the Snow Maiden believes she was sent by the Midnight King. Mm-hmm. However, she was sent by the Queen of Night Magic, but she was under the effects of a geese spell, similar to the way Liber was from the Midnight King. There's like that fuckery is like, you know, they were a couple. They know each other's tactics, and it's like they're both using it.
They got a 3. Oh, no Wilk command today.
Kyle, no Wilk. No Wilk for you.
Yeah.
But no, that was 100%. It's like it was really always set up for the possibility of a Quenthian Journey Season 2 to really go hard in onto the Feywild stuff. Like, really deep in on it. Part of me is sad we didn't, but it's kind of just too far gone now. We're like almost a year out since we ended it.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail and functionality that we're mentioning, talking about. It's like, oh yeah, shit.
Yeah, it was cool, but it's like, no, Kyle, you don't just get to spam the command. You got a 3.
I see
you didn't have advantage.
I appreciate the efforts here, but
you don't get your Wilk today. But thinking back on it, probably it could have been cool. It could have been, but I think better for viewership wise, it was moving on to like smaller campaigns, so people who found us didn't have to like go through the backlog of like. Because think about it, if we did the Raiders of Yasgren 10 episodes, the few one shots we did, let's say about 4-ish, I think we've done one shots, or no, at least 2.
Yeah.
2.
At least
so that's
2.
12 episodes.
Yeah.
And 25 episodes of Kingslayers. We'd have an extra 37 episodes of a Quenthian Journey. We would be 2 seasons deep. Like, people trying to join now. Be a bit much.
It would be a lot to get into at this stage for new people.
Yeah, that's why I think campaigns that like take place and don't really reference each other that much are our go-to for now.
Yeah. I guess if you want, another question I had was talking about, it was something I've brought up a few times when we've discussed the different planets and realms and planes and what have you. What is it like if someone from the Prime Material, for example, was to travel to the Feywild? What would it be like? Like, would it be very hostile immediately, or would it be more of like tricks played upon them, or like what type of experience? I imagine it depends entirely depending.
It depends where you end up. Like, we saw the Weavers once that control the archways in the. Because remember, the pathways on the world are difficult to find, and we found one. We found an archway. And that would have brought you into the Shadowfey, which is very, very dangerous, very inhospitable, very much so. Things are going to try and rob you and leave you broken, destitute, take everything from you. Whereas like you'd get much more like harmless tricks and like poked fun at in the day courts, but the night courts you're gonna have a really bad time. Like, because remember, at the end of the day, the Queen of Night and Magic literally deals in children. Like, part of her thing is she was like accepting children as an offer, and then trying to gaslight the party, being like, well, if the family is willing to sell the child, clearly they were not a good family in the first place. It's like,
yeah. Which, as we saw with the whole case with Aura, is a prime example of that.
Yeah, whereas Lynn literally like dedicated his life to trying to kill the Queen of Night Magic to get there and find her.
Yeah.
Which Lynn as a character, can we just take a quick moment? I know he's not Feywild directly, but Lynn is a fucking character. Respect for that blood hunter.
The man so dedicated in his hatred of Fey that he spent his entire life learning how to hunt down and kill Archfey. Like, the sheer dedication.
Yeah, he was like trying to find Aura. Oh, it was very, very good.
And that was also just a great moment. The moment between him and Aura, as he slowly just changed from that very determined and violent personality, switching back to trying to be an uncle, and the sole relative left. So that was a very. And some of those meetings that they had, some of the conversations they had were amongst the high points of Quenthian Journey, I thought.
Oh, it was so much fun. I would love to get Jen in to talk about the how she felt the story of Aura went, because it's so connected to the Feywild.
Yeah, Aura's story was one of the most interesting things to come out of Quenthian Journey. Especially just the whole connection with how connected the Feywild was to the story. And like hell, I mean, the Queen of Night and Magic especially was so connected to it. It was really, really interesting to see how her story connected with that developed.
God, could you imagine how much Raynor would bully Aura though?
Oh God.
A literal child.
Raynor and Aura in the same party is just harassment. And I would be so sad to see it. That'd be terrible.
It's like that meme. Would you like to destroy the child? I would like to destroy the child.
Yeah, and except then Aura would just turn around and just like try and fireball Raynor. That'd be hilarious to watch. That would be. Look, I've thought about it at length. If we had like crossovers between party members, between Vethlia Vanguard and the Kingfishers. That would be.
What do you think would be the most interesting crossover? Let us get distracted for a minute. Who do you think would be the most interesting? I think Vel and Raynor oddly could get along very well.
Oh, Vel and Raynor would actually get along quite well. There'd be a lot of respect. Both of them having worked as mercenaries, and both of them having a very much a similar-ish approach to things in terms of how they dealt. They dealt with like things, issues, and missions and stuff as they came up. I actually think they would genuinely at least be able to see eye to eye and at least have a good working relationship.
Could see the approach. I would love to see
Calicindia and Eleanor to some degree.
I don't think so. I think the way Eleanor's whole testing thing of like trying to test people with insults, Calicindia would be like, it's not going to work.
Yeah, you wouldn't have the time or patience for that shit. It would be very much at first meeting, there would be that, but then the more time, almost like the inverse of a lot of characters, is that the more time they spent with each other, the more time that they would probably hate each other and the complete conflicting personalities that they would have. And I don't want to say too much, obviously.
I would love to see Daria absolutely let her brain explode by trying to roleplay out Eleanor and Raynor having a conversation. Like, because Eleanor, imagine trying to like belittle Raynor and like the way that all would work. I think it would be very interesting to see Daria just like nosebleed through it.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I think an interesting one would be Liva and Calicindia, actually.
I think Aura and Calicindia would be an issue because she has spells and he is very interested in spells.
Oh yeah, they both have that arcane, and Aura also having that elven connection as well. They would probably mistake her for like, why are you a Starless with horns? What the fuck?
No, Callisinder knows what a Shadow Fae is.
Yeah, I know. Just joking.
100%.
In terms of, but I think it'd be actually Liber and Callisinder would be interesting because Liber, with his connection to the old gods.
Oh, especially with Callisinder, you would. I can actually see Callisinder trying to kill Liber.
I could as well. I was going to say that he would want to manipulate Liber and utterly use Liber.
No, imagine if Callisinder found out what Liber was, the Book of the Dawn Watcher of all magic.
Yeah.
Callisinder would try and kill Liber. He would want that book. He'd be like, well...
Yeah. I mean, he would first see if he could try and extract the book somehow from what Liber is to see if he could do that. And if he couldn't do that, then yeah. He probably would. Or at the very least, he would try and use Liber to gain audience with the other old gods.
I think Mercestiel and Aura would get along very well.
Yes.
Mercestiel would want to mother Aura.
That would be one of the most wholesome ones, I feel. I can't really think of many wholesome interactions with Callisinder. And
question now. If you had to pick 2 NPCs to meet from a cross campaign, what would it be? And I know mine already.
Oh. 2 NPCs. Okay. I need to just think here for a second, going through Corinthian Journey NPCs. I need to just think for a second. I didn't look through my notes from Corinthian Journey and actually see the just look for key NPC names.
My one that I would love to see happen would be Rolam, Irisian, and Theo.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
Do you remember who Rolam is?
Was Rolam the blacksmith, or am I thinking of someone else?
No, Rolam's the elf in the Valyrium canopy. Imagine him meeting Theo.
Yes, it's a possibility. He's an elf.
True.
He could still be alive, and he could go to Burton.
Could you imagine Lynn meeting Savar?
Oh.
Lynn would just kill Savar.
I didn't even think about that. Look, Savar would try and shit talk him, and Lynn just turn around and just like cut his head off.
Activate the flame tongue and just stab.
Like, who the hell are you to talk to me like that? Oh fuck! That is actually, I didn't even think about that. Lynn's
pretty much like you're talking an awful lot of shit for someone in kebabbing distance.
Savar and any number of NPCs would be great to watch.
The Queen of Night and Magic and Savar.
Oh, he would be such a sycophant towards her. They would like,
oh yeah,
bowing down like yes, my queen. You know what? Actually, an NPC from like in terms of NPC and player characters, I think Viola and Aura would get along very well.
Oh, very, very well.
They would be like two peas in a pod together.
I'm trying to think, is there anyone else that was very great after it? Oh, you know what I would love to see? So first recruited NPC for each group almost. I'd love to see Xerdis and Olivia meet.
They're completely different. That would be so strange.
Same fate though. They both ended up getting killed because of the party's actions. Olivia got resurrected, but Xerdis did not.
We resurrected one of them. We learned from our mistakes there. I would be, you know what? It's also an interesting thing about like how the different groups would tackle the problems that came up in each campaign.
Oh, that I don't even know how the Veveler Vanguard would tackle the
Darkul.
The Darkul. They have no information on it, or the Sleeping Bloodline. And
they wouldn't be so quick to take more ruthless approaches to things. Because I imagine that for a while and be like, okay, the Darkul, can we cure it? They wouldn't have the information, and that's what they would have looked into first.
But that being said, I think the Kingfishers would have just caved in the Tuscully quarry.
Oh yeah, okay, fuck this place. We're caving it in. Any complaints? No, fuck you. Not dealing with this shit. I think it'll be quite interesting for actually an interesting NPC. I think the Archon of the Land and either Zamani or Makestil, but I think Archon and Zamani would be quite interesting.
That would be interesting. She's
as a tiefling, being a foremost example of like, I think that'd be very, and also for Zamani as well, considering a certain degree of similarity, considering Seraph was a slave, and went through a lot of shit. I think that'd be a very, very interesting. I don't want to say like a parallel, but as a comparison, as a different awaiting. It'd be very interesting awaiting.
It'd be so different. I suppose in that sense, though, like there's a lot of characters. Like, I don't know how the Kingfishers would have approached Tarkin.
See, that would have been. Look, we would have been lacking a lot of information on one level because we wouldn't have got everything from the Queen about magic.
Yeah, there would have been a lot more research having to take place, which would delay you longer. Because remember, like, you guys were chasing Tarkin for a while.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing, is that we had clues to follow every step of the way. That would have been very, very curious to see how he would have handled it, I guess I'll say. Because we lacked a lot of the same connections that the Vethleya Vanguard had, which is curious. Like the Kingslayers as well with Spindra. I'm curious.
I think it would have just been combat. I don't think you guys would have taken a chat to Spindra.
Which, rest in peace, Spindra.
She's mounted on someone's wall. Don't worry about it.
This is actually really interesting to think about in terms of characters crossing between. I'm
curious. Do you remember the name of the city where you fought Tarkin? That's a reach.
Hold up a second, Biz. Let me look at my notes.
I know it's not, but my brain just keeps saying Arsfall. But that's no.
No, it is. That's in Burton.
I know that is. I can actually pull it up here. It's okay. I can.
No, don't. I want to see if I've got it, Des. I want to see if I've got it. This is
okay. I know why it's. I'm thinking Arsfall. I found it.
Atashan,
yes.
Atashan. Yeah.
Oh.
But Des, so Faye.
That was a cool tangent. That was very cool.
That was a really cool tangent, and something that I will undoubtedly talk about at length off stream. But yeah, so just thinking back to questions I had, just take me a second. I was talking about in terms of people going to the Feywild, what their experiences would be like, whether or not, because it's out of all of the planes we've discussed so far, out of all the world, it's probably the safest for people to actually go to.
Well, Osiris isn't too. No, you're right.
It is. Osiris is pretty bad, especially like if you're a nobody, if you're like a relatively weak person going to Osiris, you're like going to make a pact with like an archdevil, like we did into Osiris. You would just be another victim there.
That's the thing. You'd be like, what was the gnome's name? Good old crab legs.
Yeah, crab legs. You know what?
But no, it's relatively safe depending on which side you land on. 100%. Like, that is undoubtedly very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I think one thing we could talk about now before we get like too distracted is the heart tree.
Yes, as I was going to mention. Which, first of all, do you have a name for it, or is that something once again we're going to have to ask about?
So it is something I do have like ideas for, but nothing set in concrete. I know its location. The heart tree is on the mountain where the Queen of Witches' court is. It is literally there. The heart tree is her.
It's on the day side.
It is.
So, what is the heart? Because so far, all of the so far the ones we've discussed, but they all have very distinct characteristics about them. All the heart trees.
Like the heart tree of the Feywild, you know, in like America, the great red wood trees that are massive, like the red sequoia trees, is it? Is that what they're called? Yeah. So that's what the type of tree it is. It is massive. It literally juts as tall as the mountain. It is as wide as a mountain. It is like it is something that actually giants would worship. Like giant kindness. Okay. Also, fun fact: the Queen of Witches, Queen of Giants as well. The Jotuns would actually worship her to a slight respect.
Okay, like
she'd be like not a full deity for them, but like a
saint almost.
Yeah, like a saint almost, like comparatively, yes.
Okay, that's a really interesting connection. That's not something I thought would come up, but which we do actually probably need to do like a giant. Or like Jotun giant king type of stream.
Giants. Just literally just giants.
Yeah. Just giants. It'd be a giant stream. But yeah, so that's the heart tree. I mean, what type of place does it occupy in the Feywild? Like in terms of a lot of Yalicorts, do they look up to it and respect it? And,
that's probably like where the Queen of Witches, she has like a symbiotic relationship. Like she was not always that large, but she is large because of it now. It is like it's rumored that the sap that comes off the tree itself literally could grow a human to be the size of a giant. It's like, you know, makes the sap of the tree makes you strong. It's like, it's very much so like an empowering heart tree comparative to some that like are defensive. It's like, it's probably one of the few heart trees that gives a boon to those who get to it. Now, mind you, it's guarded by the Queen of Witches, but it's like, you okay? Do you need me to fix it? No. I think you do. There you go. But no, that's like the main thing of the heart tree there. It's like the very common name that the Queen of Witches has for it is just the Ever Strong. Like that is the simple name that the giants would call it. They would call it the Ever Strong of Vitrusion. It's like something that even like hill giants, fire giants, cloud giants, they would pilgrim there because it's like, for example, like when Egregi was born, he was brought to the Queen of Witches to be blessed and drink from the sap of the heart tree of the Fey realm, so he could grow to be the strongest of the Jotuns.
Okay.
It's quite literally like it's a very giant cultured area, actually, specifically.
Okay, that's really interesting. I mean, how would the Jotuns, in that sense, like, how would they view a humanoid working for the Queen of Witches in that case? Like,
they had humans working for them. They were like, well, she's just controlling humans. Like humanity, we tried to do the same.
Yeah, but they wouldn't view them in the same sense as, like, it would be a very different approach that they would take.
They would view it like the Raven folk that sided with the Jotuns.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, the Raven folk, a lot of Raven folks sided with the Jotuns.
That's true.
They're like, well, they're just smart enough to work with us. Like,
yeah. And that's exactly why we don't like the Raven folk.
Yeah, that's why we're...
like Allison just coming out.
But no, like, they would do that. Like the heartwood, the heart tree, the Ever Strong. As I said, literally, a lot of Jotuns, specifically like new Jotuns are born. Especially, like, remember, Jotuns are immortal, so they don't reproduce that regularly. They don't have loads of children. But when they see something written in the clouds, written in the stars, of the birth of it one, like, they would have an offspring. And those of, like, the old ways, the more, like, religious, like, zealot style Jotun culture they would literally travel through the woad, which is part of why they will want to eventually come back, is because they have no access to the woad anymore. So they can't get to the Everstrong anymore. Unless they have magic that can plane shift them. But remember, a Jotun is not going to walk through. Like, a Jotun could literally stand the height of a mountain and just walk over, like climb over a mountain. Like Jotuns are massive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like part of one reason of what like the biggest contention between a Greggy and like the clans of the Jotuns around him is the fact that they can't get to the Everstrong anymore. It's like, well, like you were blessed by the Everstrong yourself. What gives you the right to take that away from our future generations?
Yeah. Okay, that's a really interesting connection there, because I hadn't actually known any of that. But yeah.
Did you ask? It's always why giant, not how giant.
Like, how are the giants?
Look, we're probably going to deal with that next campaign, so I won't talk about it.
But yeah, so in terms of that, actually, like, in terms of the heart tree, like, does it have? Because we've discussed, I guess, for all of the others we've discussed so far, the heart tree has had a certain organization connected to it. In the case of this one here, is that very much?
It's the court of the Queen of Witches. That's the organization. That's, or like, I don't need to make one because I have one. It's how she got her powers. Like she wasn't not a like. She was part giant, but she was not like full giant herself when she first drank of the Everstrong.
Yeah.
But now she embodies what giants strive to be. And she makes a lot of pacts, a lot of hags. Because remember, like, before humanity came, it was hags, it was giants and all that ruled Quenthos. That was the primordial forces that were there, was the hags and the giants. Like, they were some of the first ones. So there's a very symbiotic relationship between the covens and the Jotuns.
Yeah.
So, like, she is seen as, like, a bridge between two as well, which is a really important thing for, like, a unified force between hag and giant. It hinges on the Queen of Witches.
Mm-hmm.
She is like a giant kin that bridges the gap.
Which is quite an interesting concept, because I imagine that she would very much look favourably upon the Greggy as being the king.
Yes.
So
she would remember the day she blessed him with the Everstrong.
So should a Greggy be deposed by, or usurped by other giants, like, she may very well not exactly look upon that with
She is not impartial.
Yeah. Yeah, she's not a sentry dragon.
Now, mind you, she did not advocate for the enslavement of humanity. That was not something she ever thought, like... Because she is a bridge. She is a bridge between worlds, and she thinks that there needs to be, like, if you ask, like, a very good example of what a warlock for the Queen of Witches could be is a warlock ambassador to try and talk between humanity and Jotuns to try and keep peace stable.
Now that would be a very interesting character.
Like Goliath. Like, you gotta be a Goliath. Or, like, I would probably count that character as being like, you have drank from the Everstrong, you're like 9 feet tall. You could have been a goblin, but you were the size of a Goliath. You've drank from the Everstrong.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Kind of like that. That would be really interesting. That would be I would love to see a character go into that. Especially with with the campaign down the line, dealing with the giants. That could be a look as that's a second. I just saw that. That would be a really interesting character concept in a campaign that heavily deals with the Jotuns. I'm glad you saw that as well, Biz.
I see everything. I'm gonna dunk on it now in a second. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
There we are.
Oh, fuck! All right, we're rubbing in, Des.
Yeah. But no, I think that is what the Everstrong, which I'm probably not going to get chat to name because I already have very clear intent for what the Everstrong could function as in the next campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Because it could definitely be a thing. Like, a lot of cool stuff about the heart tree.
Which is really interesting because out of I think all of the worlds we've discussed so far, Feywild seems to have the most connection to campaigns and future campaigns. Like it's such a pivotal location, almost as like a hub for a lot of campaign activity.
Well, it's probably the biggest single woad like that has managed to spread across an entire planet. Because like there's a moon of Dragor, but like the actual, what's the word I'm looking for? The actual influence of the woad there, which being like the highway between each area, like it literally serves as like a connection between all realms.
Yes.
Is something I was thinking we could talk about that I just need to double check. Because I don't know if we have it. And I know we're definitely not going to have enough time to go over it all, that I just realized now.
Well, what is it? We can try and cover as much as we can.
I just have to double check. I'm thinking the moons. We need to talk about the moons of Vitrusion.
We do need to talk about the Moons of Vitrusion. Now, if just trying to think back on when we discussed this, I think we didn't really go into much detail because you said you had something planned for Vitrusion's moon.
Well, I know that's where the Lunarian Rebellion took place. That's the majority of what I have for it. But 15 minutes we can start, but I don't think
we can start talking about it, I think.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit. So the moon is obviously on the side of... so it has one moon. I don't even think I have names down for this, because I don't know where that would be. I don't even think I have a name down for it. I think we don't have names down for a lot of the moons. Let me check. I think this might be in our conversation somewhere. Yeah, no, I skipped over it. But yes, it has one moon. That is the thing with the Vitrusion. It has one moon. It was to Rebellion.
Mm-hmm. Ah, that's right.
So do you have questions about that rebellion or anything you want to talk about with that?
I'm trying to remember, like, what was the cause of the rebellion?
So it was the Lunarian, basically like a moth-like people that were... I think the Lunarian anyway. I'll double check. God, where have I gone? I might try and find my spattering of notes. Because I have so many notes scattered around of the Fey realms. Because these have been so relevant for us for such a long time.
Yeah.
I think it's in here. So yeah, they originate from the Feywild moon. They tried to harness the actual power of the moon for themselves. They were cast out by the Midnight King and damned to the depths of the underworld, the world below, never to see their lunar home again. They were banished from the Fey realm. Now, they do help. They're considered angels of the I think Calisander would know Lunarians.
Oh.
Like, because that's where they take place. Like, they live in the world below. Like, Zanvin was a stark outlier for the sake of story, obviously, but also just like he had love and like what it would be.
This is something I want to talk about then. In terms of the Lunarians, so most of them live in the world below.
Yeah, you would know them as the angels of the underworld. Stories would tell of Lunarians helping people from below the surface, striking down monsters at the last moment before someone's about to be killed. However, they never do it for free. They would look for payment for services like food, safety. Like, if you deny them a reward for the rescue, they're going to unrescue you.
Yeah. So I'm really interested. So, like, first of all, have many of them
I think there's probably a small colony of them in Ishihar Exandir.
Well, I imagine that some of them would have taken on board the Dying God. They've been cast out from the Feywild, exiled from these previous connections of theirs. So they would take on board the Dying God and live in Ishihar Exandir. A small number, at least.
I think, yeah, definitely there is a small number that, like, find hope. And, like, there would be some that would be like, until the stars return. Like...
And given that they're quite... Well, from what we've seen, they're quite proficient warriors.
Very. They would definitely help against the Darakul. Like, that's probably the number one thing that they stop and fight against is the Darakul.
Yeah, and in terms of drilling the Khazan Vir and the various other organizations within the Starless military, like...
Oh, I'd say probably they would be considered... God, what is the name I came up with for it? The allies, the actual former word for it.
Sorry, with what?
There's the Starless word for an ally.
Oh, yeah, the Azaria.
Yeah, the Azaria. A lot of Lunarians would be the found below. They would be considered that. Like, yeah, that would probably be where that originated from. Is the Lunarians?
And I imagine that a lot of Lunarians, even those that don't necessarily start following the Dying God, there'd be a very reciprocal relationship between the Starless and the Lunarians because they're both. On the same side roughly against most of the other denizens of the world below. And there'd be a lot of respect between the two of them.
Mind you, like they have a surface curse. Like,
yes. Yeah.
Like they cannot go there. Like they can't be in the presence of natural light. That is the thing. Like any natural light. That includes bioluminescence. So I imagine there would literally be like, you could literally call it the midnight quarter of Ishihar Exandir, where there's literally like all the bioluminescent fungus and like moss and everything underneath is stripped away, so they have no light and they just exist.
All magical. Yeah. All magical lights. That's
exactly. And it's like these Lunarians are like greatly cursed creatures, but are very much so like here for help. I think a lot of them, especially, and I mean a lot of them, would, if allowed and when allowed, undertake the Khazan Vir but never retire after the mandatory service. Like they know they are that of a warrior life. They are very capable warriors.
Okay, now that is a really interesting little connection there between Campaign 1 and Campaign 2.
In fact, I actually would say there was probably a link from Zanvin's home. What's the name of his wife? Begins with the Z. Zelaria. That frozen pool in the home, when that's summertime and that's thawed, that literally is a river down into a great lake, probably near Lake Urlvith.
Ah, shit. Okay.
That probably feeds into the great underworld lake.
Yeah.
The great world below.
So before we get massively sidetracked, the moon.
The moon. So it's a very, very powerful thing. I would say specifically is where the Winter Court now comes from, because it is a frozen moon.
Right.
So now the Winter Court is up there. They were the ones who helped the Midnight King stamp out that rebellion. They would sit up there. The Queen of Snow would be there overlording the moon itself. That is where the Winter Court would be, because it is also stationary in that, like, it does not rotate around the planet. There's no rotation at all.
It's a fixed there.
Yeah, so that is now where the Winter Court is. That is on the bones of the Lunarians' home. Where it's funny because I would say, I need to double check names, because I know there's Zanvin, and then I'll have to double check the king's name, the Midnight King, the Moonlit King. Because I remember his name came up, because obviously we had Sarastra, and then what name did I even give him? They're so similar. I remember that.
I can't.
I know they're like Zanvin and something with an X as well. They're so similar.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not getting them mixed up, but I could be. basically that was just at the end of his dwindling power. And then, in fact, you know what I'd say? I would not be surprised if the Queen of Night and Magic affair was actually with Malcia.
Oh. Okay.
Because someone swayed to her court. Because like that's how you trick Malcia. You trick Malcia with love. So
yes,
have him be the Queen's consort. Like, I think that would convince Malcia. Like, hard simp for the Queen.
Okay.
Oh no, this is really annoying me. What is the King of Night and Magic's name? King of Magic's name.
Did you mention it? Like, it would be? I'll see if I've got it somewhere.
You guys have it. It's come up.
Yeah.
It might even be in some of my old session reports. I would literally have to.
Yes.
I would really have to dig.
Was it like Zanwon? Zanwon?
Zanwern. I think Zanwern. Zanwern.
Zanwon. Yeah, Zanwon. I've got it. I think this is
Zanvan.
Zanwon.
Oh my god.
I think
my name sometimes.
Look, I don't even know if this is the right spelling because I think that's just how I heard it and wrote it down. Which is typical.
Look, that's it, but it's no, I definitely think it's something like that. Because there's Zanvan and Zanworn. Yeah, no, that feels so correct. Yeah, he banished them away, and obviously that was like how the ally got embedded. As we like, I think we talked about a little bit. The Queen of Snow is, I think she was one of the allies of, like she was playing both sides 100% because she still had loyalties to the Midnight King because it was him banishing the Lunarians that gave her throne, which is a massive part of it. So there's a lot of like. It's so complicated, the nighttime courts, because we've got like it's such interwoven politics. It's messy. It's so messy to try and
they don't make it. Yeah, and they don't make it any less messy.
No,
they revel in it. They take delight in how messy it all is.
100%. It's good though, but yeah, I think. We actually got a lot of talked about today. We went over a lot of stuff.
And we barely got sidetracked. Look at us go.
We got sidetracked like once or twice, but we did really, really well.
Yeah.
So we're going to leave it there. That is the stream on the Feywild. This is the last little bit of the stream where I talk about us as a channel. If you liked what you saw, consider dropping a follow. If you want to get access to our world and where all this stuff goes, subscribe to the Twitch or the Patreon for $5 a month. There is other tiers there on the Patreon at $10 and $15 a month to see the maps or my session reports as you go through. If you want to gift something to the channel, we do have a Throne account. That will help increase the overall quality of the stream, but me and Rap are getting a little bit tired. We're going to end it there. Thank you so much. Join us on Discord, join us on our socials, follow us wherever you would have us, and put these in chat. We're going to go out and raid Evan today because that's just the wrong command.
If Evan's on, we got to do it.
Look, we got to do it, but we're going to go out and raid now. See you, bye.
See you.
bye.